Hey everyone, welcome to the Cantrill Show. You are here, my friend, because you are a woman who is falling back in love with herself. You believe that doing something for yourself is important, but having the potential to change is not the same as actually changing. So, our goal with this show is to introduce you to women who will help you get unstuck. So please, help me in welcoming the self-love matchmaker, Kat Cantrill.
Hello and welcome, ladies. I am super excited to have you here. Welcome to the Kat Cantrill Show. I am your host, Kat Cantrill, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your day and spending it with me. And I'm giving you a gigantic digital hug from me to you as a huge hug of appreciation. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for believing enough in yourself, for knowing that you are deserving of more, and for tuning in to today's episode. Ladies, the topic of today's episode affects all women. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, out of a relationship. This topic that we're going to talk about today. The reason why I'm having it one of my first episodes is because I feel that this is something that we don't talk about enough. And if we do talk about it, it's one of those said and done. Like, here's the solution and you are to overcome it. But I thought that I would really take the time and pick it apart and help you understand why it's there, how we do this, and how can we overcome it. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever in your life thought that you were not successful, or have thought that you weren't pretty enough, or thought that you weren't smart enough, or whatever enough? Just enter whatever that is right there. Due to the comparison game. Do you find yourself comparing yourself to other women? And if you're like most women, you're actually like nodding your head as you're listening to this. You're like, yes, Kat, absolutely. I do compare myself to other women. And why do I do that? What's the importance of it? It is a slippery slope, right? When we start that mindset of not thinking that we're successful or thinking that we're awesome and amazing, and that these people in our lives, they have it down pat. They're the definition of success. They're the definition of happiness. It is paralyzing. This is why I want to talk about this topic, because most likely, because of the comparison game, is the reason why possibly you're not progressing in your life, that you're not taking the risks that you need to take, that you are not seeing your true strengths, that you're not seeing your capabilities because you are thinking that you have to be this particular type of person in order to achieve these goals. And I'm here to tell you, my sister, that is not true. So when we're going to talk about the comparison game, and we're going to talk about it in three different steps. The first step is, when did it start? The second step is how we do that. What does it mean, like the comparison game? And third, how do we overcome it? And it's more than just unfollow people, because that is a part of it. But so this has been around, my loves, way before social media, way before that. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So number one, where did the comparison game come from? How did we even start doing this in our lives? Well, in my studies of helping women and kind of picking apart the pieces, because it's really easy to be like, do it. But I think that as women, if we have insight of where this comes from, it can help us go back to okay, this is the exact time that this started happening in my life. And they say that we start competing and comparing ourselves to one another as women as early as the age of 10. So basically, puberty. Why do we compare ourselves? And they don't know if it's nature versus nurture, because maybe my sisters that are listening to this, you've had that type of experience where maybe someone told you, why don't you be more like so-and-so? Or maybe you've had teachers compare you to other students, maybe you've had coaches that have compared you to other athletes. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we know that the comparison game is something that is not only taught to us, but we do feel the sense of why do we have to compete and why do we have to compare? And the reason being is because of love. We want to be loved and admired and noticed, and we want to feel needed. So at the age of 10, we start to notice that other people, other classmates, start to get more attention than we do because of certain reasons, right? I listed them. Better athlete, better student, better enter whatever you would like in that blank. So immediately we start the comparison game because we are so afraid of having this ripped from us. Like it's our instinct. We are so afraid of being unloved. We are so afraid of feeling unneeded, unwanted. So we look at what they're doing and we're saying, okay, so they're getting all of the attention. So I need to do what they're doing, or I need to do it better, or my worth is based off of that definition of success. Therefore, these are the things that I need to do in my own life, or I need to look at this and I need to change my life to be just like this person. Well, you know how they say that imitation is the best form of flattery, ultimate form of flattery? It's true. It really is true. It's not necessarily that that person wants to be you. It's that the person sees you as a source of love and admiration. And they too want that in their lives. This is when high school, the whole mean girl concept, that's when mean girls really start. And you could probably argue that it starts in junior high as well. But mean girls are mean girls because they want the love and the admiration that other women are receiving. So they attack one another in hopes of being able to knock that admiration, to knock that love out of her, and for them to have it for themselves. This is where this comes from. And as we get older, it doesn't get any easier, right? So this happens way before social media. So now we have social media that thrives on the comparison game. We have bosses, we have coworkers, we have other parents where we are constantly comparing our parenting, comparing our work styles, comparing being an entrepreneur. Well, this type of entrepreneur does this, and that must mean that's successful. So then therefore I need to change how I conduct my business. It is a slippery slope. So how do we compare? What are the ways that we're comparing ourselves? Well, we're taking this in internally. We are questioning who we are and how we are created. And I want to just take a moment, my sister, and tell you that you are absolutely perfect right now. And part of my job as a coach is to teach women to be authentically themselves. And I know that being authentic is a buzzword, but you know what I mean when I say that, right? Like when I say be authentically you, don't be like her. Be like you. It is you that makes you unique. Hello, beautiful. I'm interrupting this broadcast because I have a little something for you. But let me ask you this first. When was the last time you said thank you to a compliment? If you're like me, it took me a long time to be able to say thank you to a compliment, especially when someone says that you're beautiful. I've made it part of my life's mission to tell as many women as possible how beautiful they are. In fact, women don't hear it enough. But the reality is that it doesn't matter how much I tell you. Ultimately, it's up to you to believe you. So I have a little special gift for you. I have a You Are Beautiful sticker that I would love to send to you with a little personal note from me to you. And here's why I'm doing it. You take this sticker and you stick it on the back of your cell phone, you stick it on your review mirror. You can stick it anywhere as that daily reminder that you are beautiful. And I want you to tell it to yourself. Because studies have shown that when we repeat things to ourselves, we actually wrap our brains around it and start believing it. So if you're not going to accept a compliment, I want you to take this sticker and start paying yourself the compliment. So make sure and go to catcantrill.com/you are beautiful and sign up to have your sticker mailed out to you today. Okay, now back to the show. You can take on other things that people are doing and make it and make it your own. But if you imitate exactly what they're doing, it's not organic. It doesn't feel good. You're like pretending. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. It's your job to pay attention to you, but how do you even start? Like this comparison game, we know it's been ongoing forever, and we don't even know really when we're doing it. But I want to remind you that when you are comparing yourself to other women, most likely you are comparing your weakness to other women's strengths. Now let me repeat that one more time. You are comparing your weaknesses, which are a part of you too, to other women's strengths. If you were to take this person that you compare yourself to and compare their weakness to your strengths, that would be a completely different conversation, wouldn't it? We are so quick to judge ourselves. We are so quick to put ourselves down, to allow that inner critic to take over our lives. So the comparison game, it's almost like a comfort zone, right? Like we're used to that. We are so good at putting ourselves down, ladies, that when we look to our fellow sister, of course we're going to compare ourselves to her. We're going to see everything that's right with her and everything that's wrong with us. Or even worse, you will do exactly what she's doing because you think that defines beauty. You think that defines whatever it is or success to you. And you'll try that on and you'll realize that that doesn't feel good, and you'll end up exactly in the same spot where you began. My sister, it is not fair to anybody to compare your weakness to other people's strengths. And most likely, if you're listening to this, I promise you that there is a woman that is in your life who feels that way about you. That there is a woman in your life who is comparing her weakness to your strength. And what would you tell her? You would say why are you doing that? That's not fair. If she's a great painter and you're a great businesswoman, you're going to look at her talent and be like, well, that's creative and that's fun. And that's to you that's like the definition of living a life. And she may be looking at you going, I have no business sense. I don't know what I'm doing with my business. This businesswoman, she's living the life. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, you can tell that is not, that we are comparing apples to oranges, not apples to apples. So the next question is, how do we overcome this? What is the secret? The secret is you loving you first. The secret is for you to understand that you deserve your own admiration. It is up to you to create a space for you to help you understand that you have to admire you first. When you are loving yourself and admiring yourself first, the comparison game slowly starts to dwindle. You realize your strengths and your weaknesses. You know what makes you you. And so when you look at other sisters that are succeeding, instead of comparing yourself to her, you most likely will become her hype girl, right? Like, you'll look at her and go, oh my word, you are incredible. I am so proud of you. Your successes are absolutely incredible, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of your success, versus comparing, belittling. taking that internally and saying, what is wrong with me? Why can I not be like that? So what can we do about it? So we know that loving ourselves is first, and we know that that's hard work. Like that's getting into the core, right? That's really getting inside and going, okay, I deserve love. I deserve admiration, my own admiration. I deserve to pay attention to myself and to find out what are my passions. What are my strengths? In fact, most sisters probably don't even know what their strengths are because, ladies, you are too busy focusing on your weaknesses, right? Too busy doing that. So when we look to these women that you are comparing yourself to, instead of imitating them and being like, okay, well, that's the definition of success. So since that's the definition of success, then this is what I have to do in my life in order to be successful, in order to be admired. And so that way I feel loved. Sit down with yourself and go, okay, so these are the women that I'm comparing myself to. What qualities do they have that I am comparing myself? What is it about them that I find that I have to sit down and compare myself to them? And understand that most likely you are comparing your weakness to their strength, right? So to sit down and go, okay, what am I really doing here? Like, why am I really comparing myself to this person? What is it? And if you find that this person does do something that really inspires you, then you take those bits and pieces and you implement those into your life. Don't do exactly what she's doing, but do it your style. Do it the way that you would do it. Here's one thing I tell my clients. I tell my clients all the time, it doesn't matter what your profession is. What makes the profession that you do so unique is not your certifications, is not all of the knowledge that you have, it's you. It's like you as a core person, as the woman that you were created to be. That is what makes your job unique. And part of that is understanding, what are your passions? Like, what are your strengths? What can you do to help yourself really like take these strengths that you have and just throw them all over the place and be like, this is what I want to do with my life. These are my passions. This is what I'm really good at. And this is what I'm going to do. And then you seize that opportunity and you are in your own power. So, do you unfollow people that don't inspire you or motivate you? Absolutely. And this isn't just for social media. This is also for real life. If you have like real life people in your life that irritate you, that you find that you're in that comparison game, that don't really motivate you or inspire you, you are not obligated to have these people in your life. And that's a different conversation, isn't it, ladies? That's talking about boundaries, which we're not going to talk about in today's episode. However, I do want to encourage you to unfollow. Remember how I told you that the base of this is self-love, and self-love is understanding what you are going to absorb into your life. So social media is a way we absorb information. Being around other people is a way that we absorb information. And that is your responsibility. That is you paying attention to you and loving you and understanding that you are in charge. You could say that your whole life is a scroll. The people that come into your life is a scroll. Social media is a scroll. You are in charge of your scroll. But the problem is that if you're stuck in that comparison game, you're constantly in that scroll and stopping and comparing and stopping and comparing versus living, versus taking that power back, versus understanding your own strengths and your own abilities and what your passions are. Because the more you pay attention to that, the more the scrolling will just completely stop altogether, and it won't even matter anymore. It's your job to stop comparing and to start loving you. Start the road of listening to you. Take the inspiration and motivation from other people. How can you implement that into your own life? Start paying attention to yourself. Start loving yourself. And stop comparing. But it's a process. Baby steps. And I think if you're listening to this, my sisters, and you don't even know where to begin, the first thing you need to start with is understanding, why do you do it? What is it in their lives that you feel that you're lacking in yours? That's the first step. The second step is, once you understand what you're lacking, why are you not providing that? Why are you not providing that to yourself? Because as I say all the time, your life is yours. It's up to you to live it. Nobody gives you your life and says, here's your lovely life. Go on now, live it. And you go, thank you. No, you create it. You have to create your own life. So what is it about these people that you want? And what is it about their lives that you find is the definition of success that is not something that you already don't possess? Because most likely it is something that you possess, but you are just getting in your own way. Whoo! Ladies, you can tell that this is a topic that I'm like extremely passionate about. All right, so let's just take a deep breath. So now we know that the comparing game, the comparison game has been around for as long as we've pretty much been alive, right? We know that this is something that is everywhere. We know that this is something that's within our own control. We also know that the ultimate solution to stop comparing yourself is to start loving yourself. Become your own source of admiration and love. Once you become your own source of admiration and love, then the comparison game will stop. Maybe not completely. No. That's probably not true, because I know that for me, every time I take that next step in my life, I know that the comparison game starts in, because then I start to have imposter syndrome, which we're going to talk about on another episode. But truly the core to really stop comparing yourself, or to start that process, is to understand that you are deserving of your own love and your own admiration. And that's it. You got this. I know that this is something that can be really difficult, especially with my sisters that have never taken the time to really sit down with themselves and understand why they're doing what they're doing. But I hope that with today's episode, it kind of jolted you a little bit and created some insight on why we compare ourselves to one another. Where does it come from? And to give yourself permission to love and admire and need yourself. It's not going anywhere. Your love for you is there waiting. She's waiting. She's waiting for the green light, except she keeps hearing all these other voices about you comparing yourself to other people. She wants you to stop. I promise you, she wants you to stop. But it takes baby steps, right? All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I am so grateful and honored again to have you all here. And thank you. Thank you for being a part of this new journey of mine and for helping me spread the message of self-love. I will see you all again next time. See you. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of That Kat Cantrill Show. Will you do me a favor? Will you make sure and subscribe, like, and share this episode with the women in your life who you feel that can benefit from our messaging? And what did you think about today's topic? I would love to know down below. And if you haven't already, go and follow me on social media already, would you? Go and follow us at The Kat Cantrill Show on Instagram and on Facebook. And as always, if you're interested in my products and services, you can find more information at katcantrill.com. And as a reminder, you are beautiful, you are deserving of your own love, and you are worth your own time and investment. And I'll see you next time. See you. Bye.